TV. Today we are going to look at the second episode of Brooding Day-Old Chicks. Brooding Day-Old Chicks in Poultry Farm. So if you have not subscribed to this channel, I plead with you to hit the subscription button as well as the like button, and also share our videos. You also have to pass comments on this video. You can pass comments on anything that you come across on this platform. So in this video, we are looking at these three items. We are looking at the temperature, we are also going to look at observation, and finally the flooring, that is the materials that you have to use on your brooding floor. So don't go anywhere, stay with me and let's discuss this. Welcome back. Yes, as I've already said, today we are going to look at brooding day-old chicks. So brooding day-old chicks in poultry farm. And this is the second video for this very topic. And we are looking at the observation in the process of brooding. We are also going to look at the brooding floor. Then we'll look at the temperature, that is the brooding temperature. And it is very important to make sure that all these three things are well taken care of in the process of brooding. So first, without wasting time, let's look at what we call observation. In the previous video, I made mention the fact that you have assumed the position of a mother hen or a father hen. What it means is that you are the one taking care of these little ones. You are brooding them. So it means that you are preparing them for survival, for good health, and also for good performance in future. So you are their mother, you are their father. So what this means is that from the day you bring them into the brooding house, you have to take very keen interest in their activity, in their activities in the brooding room. From the way they move, to the way they eat, to the way they drink water, to the way they play among themselves. Why am I saying this? You have to observe so that those chicks that are not eating will be taken care of. You have to observe so that those chicks that are not drinking water will be taken care of. You have to observe so that if you have any of these little ones trying to peck each other, you can take care of them. So in this sense, from the day you bring them to the brooding room or the brooding house, you have to constantly make or take a peep into the brooding house to see that everything is okay. So you have to be very observant. So observation is very key here in brooding process. Number two, the floor, that is the brooding floor. The brooding floor. Now, when I say brooding floor, what comes to mind is that flat surface on which your day-old chicks or the little ones or the little chicks will walk in the brooding room. So what are the materials that you will need to prepare your floor? First, you will need what we call wood shaving. Wood shaving. You can also use straw. You can use straw to prepare your floor. And here I would advise that because these birds are very young and they are very curious, you do not have to use sawdust. Please, I'm repeating, don't use sawdust to cover your floor. The reason is that the chicks are attempted to peck at these at the sawdust, and may even attempt to swallow the sawdust. And if this happens, it could choke them, or it could block their intestines, and this could result in mortality. And so don't use sawdust, especially when you are brooding your day-old chicks. However, you have to use the wood shavings. You know, wood shavings are bigger than the sawdust, and so the possibility that the chicks will swallow the sawdust is very low as compared to swallowing the wood shavings is very low as compared to the sawdust. So don't use sawdust to prepare or to cover your floor. Again, after covering your floor with the wood shavings, the next thing you need to do is to cover the wood shavings with plain paper. Or you can also use what we call cement paper, that is the brown paper. You can use brown paper to cover the wood shavings. The reason is that after covering the wood shavings, the droppings of these chicks can easily be absorbed by the brown paper or the plain paper. Yes, when they defecate or they drop, the liquid substance in the droppings would be absorbed by the brown paper or the plain paper. Again, the plain paper could serve as a very neat or clean ground on which your little ones could peck their feed from. So even as you have your plate on which you have your feed, you can also spread some on the plain paper or the brown paper for easy access, and for those that could not actually access the plate on which you have your feed, to also have something to eat. So with the flooring, you will need the shavings or the shavings or the straw. The shavings or the straw. You also need your plain paper or your brown paper to cover the floor. And you have to make sure that the floor is not slopey. There shouldn't be any form of slope in the floor. That is when you are constructing your brooding house. The floor should not be slopey. It should be flat. It should be flat. And finally, in this video, we are going to talk about temperature. We are going to talk about temperature. And in this case, we are looking at how to identify whether the temperature is good enough for your day-old chicks. The temperature should not be too cold, it shouldn't be too hot. The temperature shouldn't be too cold, it shouldn't be too hot. Now, this is how you can identify whether the temperature is too cold or too hot. If the temperature is too cold, you realize that all your chicks will try to gather around the source of heat. So if you're using the electric bulb to generate or the infrared bulb to generate heat, you realize that they all gather around where the heat is concentrated. They clump among themselves to have some form of heat. This is dangerous because they could die as a result of excess heat. That is, those who will come to squat first, the others will come and sleep on them, and they could die as a result of this. So when the temperature is too cold for your day-old chicks during the brooding process, you realize that they all come and gather around the source of heat. If you are also using gas, they all get closer to where the heat is coming from. In our part of the world, we can also use the pots. We put some charcoal in the pot to generate heat in the brooding house. So where the heat is coming from, they get closer. This could even result in mortality because they could actually be burnt by the excess heat when they get too closer. Then when the temperature is too hot, one, you realize that all the birds will spread away from the source of heat. They spread away from the source of heat. They become so restless because the heat is just too much for them. They become restless. Again, you realize that they spread their wings and sleep on the floor. They spread or they open their wings and sleep on the floor. The reason is that, when they cover themselves with their wings, they think that the heat is coming from their wings, so they want to spread it. They need some fresh air to help them to be stable. So when the heat is too hot, one, they move away from the source of heat, that is the temperature. Two, they spread their wings and sleep on the floor. So you have to make sure that the temperature is not too hot or too cold. Now, for you to know that the temperature is okay, you need a thermometer. You need a thermometer to measure the temperature. Or if you don't have the thermometer, this is a tip for you. If you don't have the thermometer, the next thing you can use to identify or assess that the temperature is good for your birds is that you realize that they are spread all over the brooding house. Your day-old chicks are spread all over the brooding house. And so everyone will be going about their normal activities, eating, drinking, playing, and all that. You see that they become so active in the brooding room or the brooding house. So this is one way you can actually check that the temperature in the brooding room is just okay and fine for your day-old chicks. So thank you for watching this video. Please, I'm begging you to subscribe. I'm also asking you to hit the notification button, share and like our videos. And I say that thank you for always coming back to watch our videos on this platform. In the next video, we'll talk so much about the feed that you need to give to your